All right. Obviously, we're glad to be back in the flow of a actual game week. Last week having the bye week, it was an important week for us. We were able to, put a big emphasis on improvement in a lot of areas, our fundamentals, special teams, just across the board, and at the same time allowing a few of our players to get healthy and kind of get their feet back underneath them. Obviously from here on out, it's a Baylor week, all getting prepared for what is a great challenge for our program. An opportunity to play a 6-1 team coming off their first loss of the year, and a team that they've built a nice program. Coach Briles has obviously done a very good job down there. If you look at where they're at this year, climbed as high as number 4 before that loss. But on offense, they are leading the Big 12 in scoring offense, total offense, rushing offense, pass efficiency, first downs, name it. They lead the Big 12 in a lot of offensive categories. So obviously, a combination of really good players, a really good scheme. And, Art Briles has always been an innovative and creative guy when it comes to offense, and that continues. And then on the other side of that, on defense, to combine with that, they lead the Big 12 in total defense as well, coming in second with rush and second with pass defense. So Phil Bennett, another well-respected defensive coach, has done a nice job with their defense, and they're a very disruptive group. In all, you got a well-coached team, with a good plan and good players, and give a lot of respect to Baylor. So, obviously it's the kind of game that our players, we tell them all the time, your Big 12 football players is the kind of game that you came to Kansas to play in. And so we're excited and looking forward to a good week getting ready for them.
When you're facing a team like Baylor, they're obviously the offensive machine that they are, but do you focus on trying to slow that down, or do you focus on your offense trying to keep up, or a mixture of the two, or what's the emphasis there?
It's our emphasis every time we talk about it. As a defense, you go out and you get a 3 and out, you get stops. That's what you do on defense. On offense, you go out and you try to score. You get first downs, you move the chain and go. Now, obviously, with a team like this, you look at the TCU game where both teams were going tempo, and TCU played 114 snaps of defense in that game. So you always have to be conscious of the clock and managing the game accordingly. And that's one thing that you think of Baylor and you think of an up-tempo offense, but in reality, they're kind of a grinded-out run-it team. They're leading the conference in run percentage attempts and rush yards. So within there, I think you can be a tempo team and control the clock.
How do you it's easy to see all those stats and for your guys to maybe get outside of their heads a little bit and think, gosh, like you just said, they're this juggernaut offensively. How do you teach your guys to focus in on just not worrying about the numbers and not worrying about those stats and just playing your game and trying to figure it out from there?
Well, that's what we always emphasize, and that's what we talk about. Every game it comes down to individual battles. It's obviously the greatest team game in the world, but every play comes down to winning a personal battle. If you're a corner, you got to win your battle against the wideout. If you're a D tackle, you're the nose, you got to win your battle against the center. And just what we talk about in our program all the time. It's about what is 6 inches in front of your face each and every day, and it's just a constant approach. And and you can't worry about everything. If I'm Tadarian Johnson, I worry about my gap and beating my center. The rest of it, guys, take care of it. And so you just in football, you simplify it and you put it down into things that the kids know that they can control.
The more you see what Baylor's done in the last few years, is it easier to game plan against it, or do they change things up enough year after year to where it's not as easy?
No, it's not as easy. They do. They stay. They keep adding things to it. And they're always kind of looking for new ways to push the envelope offensively. What they've been able to do there is recruit some really good players. They've been fortunate to get some guys to head that way that, give them a chance to run their scheme effectively. A lot of people have great ideas and, you don't have the players to go out there like they have. So, I don't think it doesn't really ever get any easier against them. And, they know what they're doing.
Cummins throwing the ball a little bit better than Montel did. Does that give defenses something to think about yet, or are they still loading up?
No, I would think so. I think it. in this conference, as much as people talk about the scoring and all that, it still comes down to stopping the run. And so until you prove that you can consistently throw the ball downfield and complete passes downfield, that's what teams will do. And until you force them out of it, that's what you're going to get each and every week. So, I think with his ability to complete some of the deeper shots and hit a few of those the last few weeks, it has helped.
Texas held Baylor to 28, and West Virginia obviously held them to 27. You played both of those teams. Does that help at all in terms of just, okay, this team that we've already seen or that team that we've already seen had some success?
Yeah, both of those teams did, and they both kind of had a similar game plan against them. It was a plan that fit both of their personnel groupings well, and their kids went out and executed it well and played Baylor tight. At the same time, Baylor has, if you're on their end of things and you're talking about those two games, there were quite a few plays that were inches away from, being different plays.
What's the biggest challenge maybe for the defense? Not so much during plays, but in between plays when Baylor's in such a hurry to basically run back to the line of scrimmage and then get another play off. Yeah,
the tempo, is something that has, taken over this league and been a big part of it. The challenge is always, what we talk about, you have to play with urgency and you have to match their urgency. Bottom line is their players have to get back to the line of scrimmage as well to run the next play. And if their players are doing it quickly enough, you have to match their urgency and their tempo. And I think we've developed a system that we get our, the tempo stuff hasn't really been an issue for us.
Is there ever a situation where the other team's offense can maybe speed your offense up? Do you have to guard against that so that things just don't start snowballing and you get ahead where you really want your team to be?
Yeah, there's no doubt. I think, each side of the ball you have to go in with your plan and execute your plan and be smart with, what you do on your side of the ball.
Rodriguez Coleman had a good spring. Is it still possible he can help you this year?
Oh, yeah. Rod's, been through some things up and down here and there, but, he's back in the mix, and we'll see him on the field.
You talked about getting healthy a little bit and getting some rest during the bye week. Does that include mental rest? Was it good for those guys to just have a week off mentally from worrying too much about game plan or anything like that?
I think so. I think it's, you hit midpoint of the season and, everyone gets a little bit tired of each other, at times. So I think it's good to, for them to get away from us as coaches, and for, be honest, kind of good for us to get away from them a little bit. You end up spending a lot of time together in this business, and like anything, it's a competitive, intense thing, and sometimes just take a deep breath and come back, I think, is really a positive.
Going in pretty healthy for this week then?
Yeah, we've maintained pretty good health all year.
Clint, when you run a system like Baylor does, and you lose key guys like they have over the years, and just keep plugging guys in, is it easier when that system stays the same to keep doing that?
Well, I think it is, and they know what exactly they want each position to do and what that criteria for each position is, and they recruit well to it. They've done a nice job of identifying what they want from each position. Their wideouts are for the most part guys who can really run, and that's what they do, and that's what they keep going and getting. And so I think they've identified their target for each spot. They've been a 4-3 quarters team on defense since Phil's gotten there, and so they know they're going to get some defensive ends that can rush the QB, get home with 4, and a challenge on the back end with athletic DBs. And so it has. And when you play a system, you stay in a system for a while, and you recruit to that system, and you know exactly what you want. It helps across the board, and those kids get familiar with it. And you talk about guys who've heard the same exact defensive call or offensive call for 4 or 5 years. It becomes second nature to them.
You said they keep adding to this thing, which makes it difficult to continue the game plan. But how about Petty? Does he change? Has he changed a lot throughout his development? Specifically this year to last year.
I think he has. I have understand just watching petty play. And if you just step back and look at it, there's some things that the kid does that you really have to admire that are impressive. I mean, there's some reads that he makes. There's other defenses in this conference who are trying to make things difficult for him, and they're disguising things, they're throwing the box off, they're rotating safeties, and his ability to pick it up and throw it to the right spot on all the time. I mean, and it's happening on the fly. He has a great understanding of their system. He's an accurate thrower. Obviously, he's a smart kid that can make quick decisions, and he's one of the more impressive guys we've had in the league for a while.
Yeah, is that it? What it is? I mean, without getting inside his head, you don't know what he's seeing that's making him deliver those in the right spot. But do you think it's that, the system, and just his comfort back there?
It is. Obviously a ton of reps at it, and they continue to do it, and he understands his reads. He understands. He understands what they're trying to get done. It's really pretty impressive what they do.
Clint, you guys got yourself to a lot of 3rd and 1 and 2s, 4th and 1 and 2s, haven't been able to convert. Have you been able to pinpoint what's maybe not going right in those situations?
Well, earlier in we talked about up front being able to be physical and finish off blocks. A lot of those times you're talking about, can you knock a guy back enough just to get a crease? And we unfortunately haven't been able to do that. And that's been an emphasis and something we've talked about, for a couple weeks now, that up front being able to get some push.
You talked so much about being physical and being a physical football team. Is that why it's an emphasis? Is because that's kind of the football team you want to become?
That's I think we did answer that question about why being tough and being physical is important. And that's one of them situations that 1 yard you'd like to think that your team's going to be physical enough to knock someone back enough to get that.
This might be a good question for John too, but Michael seems like he has a pretty good connection with the tight ends, Janae and Ben a little bit too. Is it something that just he's comfortable with those throws, or what do you see there?
Well, I think it is. Sometimes guys get a confidence factor and understand that how guys are going to play. But part of it's been schematically what they've targeted to do with Jameis. Jameis a talented young man and a guy that can make some plays for us in a lot of different ways. You take he's lined up, played inline tight end and blocks. He lines up in the backfield, plays basically a fullback, and they flex him out as wide out. So when you have a guy with that versatility, you can move him around and use him quite a bit. It really helps.
A lot of teams self-scout during bye weeks. I just wonder with your defense, what's a couple of things that you really like that you guys have done so far, and what's something that maybe you hope you guys can do better?
Yeah, there's no doubt. You run all those reports during this week and do it. Obviously we need to get. We've been good on first down. We've been able to hold teams to less than 3 yards on first down. That's been good. Haven't been as good in the coverage in the red zone. We've given up some red zone passes down there. So there were a few things that came up and through there that we've hopefully addressed.
How big was the bye week for Michael? I mean, your offense is obviously still a work in progress a little bit, and trying to make that transition and keep improving. Was that good for him to just have some time to kind of breathe?
I think so. I think he's gotten in there a couple weeks now, and he's truly settled in as the QB that's running the offense right now. You see him kind of every day. His leadership steps up a little bit more. He seems to have a little bit better command of everything he's doing. Decisions get quicker, everything gets faster. When you kind of like everything, the more you rep it, and the more you do it, the better you get. And hopefully Mike, he's a competitive kid. He's proven that he's a competitive guy. He's been through some ups and downs in the program and just kept going and going and going. And so he's a tough, mentally tough guy, and he's into it.